Welcome back for episode 4 of Put Her In, Coach. I'm Cameron Boyd.
And I'm Kate Perrin.
It's been a while since our last episode, so there's been a lot going on in OBU athletics, so we have a lot to update you guys on. But we'll just go ahead and start with what has been keeping us the busiest, so that's going to be basketball.
Yeah. So the men and women have both had 7 games since we've been back from break. But for the sake of time, we're just going to highlight a few. Do you want to start with the women?
Yeah. So their current conference record is 9-6 with a 2-win streak. So January 15th, they took on Oklahoma Baptist Bison. This was a blowout for the Tigers. They came away with a 83-64 victory. There was 5 players with double points. You had Abby Harrison with 15, Madeline Tipton with 13, Heidi Robinson with 12, Michaela Vation with 11, and Audrey Winfrey with 10. And Harrison also had 10 rebounds and 5 blocks. Then you move on to January 22nd. This was the big Battle of the Ravine game for basketball. We got to have it at home, and then they'll take them on this week, actually, across the street.
This Thursday.
Yeah. So they took that one 89-56. The main story of this game was Heidi Robinson. I'm sure everybody's heard about it by now. But she had 48 points on the night. She set a career high and now leads the GAC in most points scored by a single player in a game. She went 15 for 26 on field goals, 9 for 16 on three-pointers, and 9 for 10 on free throws. So overall, just a very successful night for her, and one that people are going to be talking about for a long time, for sure.
For sure, yeah. I talked to Caden Porter, actually, today. I talked to her about that game and asked her how she was feeling about this Thursday against Henderson again, and she was like, yeah, I'm really not that nervous. It's always an interesting game, but when Heidi Robinson scores 50 points, I mean, that's just amazing to see. And she just was talking about how she's excited for this week and to go up against Henderson again and hopefully have the same outcome.
Yeah, it's always a fun game, just playing a big rival. It's always going to be exciting. And in that game, the only other person with double-digit points was Abby Harrison with 13. So normally this is pretty average, normal scoring. It's just when you have somebody that scores so bizarre in a single game, it's just that kind of gets overshadowed, it almost feels like.
Yeah.
But overall, she was just unstoppable this game. And then after that, they had 2 wins this week, one on February 5th against Southwestern Oklahoma. They took this one 79-47. And then they had one on February 7th against Northwestern Oklahoma. They took that one 75-62. So we'll just start with the Southwestern game. Against them, Madeline Tipton had 16 points, and Heidi Robinson and Brooke Smith each had 15. Robinson had 4 successful three-pointers. Tipton had 3. As a team, their three-point percentage was an even 50. Against Northwestern, Audrey Winfrey, Samantha Watson, and Heidi Robinson each had 13 points. Madeline Tipton and Abby Harrison had 11. Caden Porter had 10. So 6 players with double-digit points, so much more evenly spread than that Battle of the Ravine game.
Yeah.
And then in that game, Audrey Winfrey had 4 three-pointers. Samantha Watson, Caden Porter, and Heidi Robinson each had 2. And you want to talk a little bit about the men?
Yeah, so the men currently hold a conference record of 14-1 with a 6-win streak. So they have been on a high lately, and it's been really apparent. So January 17th, they beat Southern Nazarene 83-75. Devin Hancock was the leading scorer with 34 points, which is not unusual for him. He went 7-7 on three-pointers, 10-12 on field goals, and 7-8 on three free throws. Sorry. Out of the 27 shots he took, he only missed 3, counting free throws. So great game for him. And then 3 other players with double digits: PJ Neal with 14, Jackson Conley with 12, and Crew Flowers with 11. And then again, with Henderson State, January 22nd, they won 90-60, which is always, like we said, a fun game for the girls and the guys. So this was a more evenly spread game offensively. 6 players with double digits. Ryder McConnell with 15, Crew Flowers and Christian Parks with 12, Trey Smith with 11, and then PJ Neal and Jaden Webb with 10. There was also 6 rebounds from Christian Parks, Crew Flowers, and Jackson Conley. The score was tied once. Other than that, the Tigers led the game for the majority of the time. And then they had 2 road wins in Oklahoma. They beat Southeastern 63. In East Central 67-55, and then came back to 2 more home wins. So they really they've just been on fire. On February 5th, they beat Southwestern 78-59. Crew Flowers had 22 points that game. And then Devin Hancock was 17, and Christian Parks with 9 rebounds and 4 blocks. And then on February 7th, they beat Northwestern 81-73, with 5 players getting double digits. Devin Hancock with 22, Crew Flowers 15, Christian Parks with 12, PJ Nails and Jackson Conley with 11. Hancock, Parks, and Conley each had 8 rebounds. And then Northwestern shooting accuracy for field goal and 3-point was higher than Ouachita's, which is not, I won't say that it's not usual. So Ouachita's men's team is very defensively focused and strong team. You know, I did a couple of interviews with a bunch of the players. I did a joint interview with Devin Hancock and Jackson Conley, and then PJ Neal and Crew Flowers. And a lot of what they talked about was that defensive focus. And I am writing an article for the R Signal here about the men's basketball team, so I won't give too much information on that. You'll have to read that later. But a lot of what we talked about was, you know, really offensively, it could be anybody's game. Mm-hmm. Anybody could score, have a good game, but it's everybody contributing to that defense focus. That's really what pushes the Tigers ahead every time. And that's how we have had such an amazing record, and now have gained a spot in the championship, which is just amazing. And I can't wait to see what this team does this season. Don't want to jinx it, but I think we could be looking.
I don't like to say too much about the future, but
I know, but
the way things are going,
we could be looking at a conference championship, and that's amazing. I think Coach Nutt, he's excited, and he's trying to contain his excitement, but I can just see it every game. You know, he just loves he loves this team. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's loved every team, but he said there's just something special about this group of guys. They're like one big family, and they've just grown so close over this season. And I mean, that's how they have such a strong bond and team, is that connection with each other. So, and now on to baseball.
Yeah, so that was a lot of basketball.
There's been
a lot going on since our last episode, since we've been back from break. But baseball did just get started. They started their season on Friday, which was February 6th. So they took on Fort Hays State at home. They beat them 2-1. Very, pretty slow game, obviously.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. OBU's only 2 runs were from home runs, though. So you had Garrett Graham and a freshman, Hudson Waits. So his first ever college baseball game, he scores a home run. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, that kind of sets the tone for his season. I'm sure he was feeling pretty good. They also had 4 hits and 2 errors. So like I said, just not a very high-action game. Then February 7th, they took on UA Fort Smith. They beat them 13-10, finally able to get some more runs in there. There were 7 different players with at least 1 run. You had Octavio Mendeville with 4, Garrett Graham with 3, Joseph Bolin with 2, Kendall Cassidy, Reese McWilliams, David Bull, and Jaron Caesar with 1. And then Kendall Cassidy, Connor Hill, and Jaron Caesar each had 2 runs batted in. Octavio Mendeville led with 8 putouts. And then February 8th, they had a doubleheader game against Missouri Southern. They won the first game 8-4. Garrett Graham had 2 runs. David Bull, Joseph Bolin, Octavio Mendeville, Cade Bowman, Cole Bedwell, and Hudson Waits all had one. Cole Bedwell and Joseph Bolin each had 2 runs batted in. I feel like that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
But just kind of to give a recap. And they'll have their first 3 conference games in Durant, Oklahoma next weekend. It'll be a 3-game series against Southeastern.
Yeah.
So lots of baseball coming up, but it'll be fun. And now for softball.
Yes. So they had a rough weekend, going 1-6 in Texas. So their best moments, they beat Texas A&M International 7-1. Jordan Merritt had 8 putouts against Texas A&M International. Addison Davidson was responsible for 2 out of 4 runs the team scored against Missouri Western State University. And then Emily Reed was responsible for the 2 lone runs the Tigers had in their second game against Missouri Western. Coming up, they have a 3-game series against Union this coming weekend at home. So we'll be working that for sure. Yeah. We'll be there. So tune in next time for the updates on that. But then they will head to Ada, Oklahoma next weekend for a 3-game series against East Central, which will be their first 3 conference games.
Yeah, so like you said, they kind of had a rough weekend. Hopefully being back home will kind of blow that over and they'll be able to get a fresh start on the season before conference games get here.
It's always good to play on your home field a couple times, especially before a conference, to just get a feel of the field and the team and how everything's going to work together.
Yeah. And then also going on, we've had men and women's swim and dive. So the men are currently 2-1 in conference. They just had a home meet against Henderson, so everybody's having battle of the ravine, I guess.
Yeah.
That was on Friday, February 6th. They beat them 137-100. This was also their senior night, so they honored their 9 seniors. And then for the women, they are currently 2-2 in conference. They also took on Henderson on Friday and beat them 100-98. And they celebrated senior night as well for their 2 seniors. So coming up, they have the New South Intercollegiate Swim Conference Championships, which will take place February 17th to the 21st in Pensacola, Florida. So best of luck to them for that. And then you wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in tennis.
Yeah, so tennis has just started their season. I, for one, am a huge fan of tennis. Not many people in our OSDN program are tennis fans, but I sure am. The girls recently played, I think it was Southwestern Oklahoma. I could be wrong. But, yeah, so hopefully we will have a tennis broadcast here sometime soon. And maybe even an updated version if we can get all the equipment, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah. But yeah, they have started their season. I will have to check on statistics and all that. But
yes, me as well. I think we do at least one broadcast.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2
every season. It is hard to get to tennis when there's also baseball and basketball going on. So, but hopefully, because I would like to watch them play too. Tennis is really fun.
Yeah. Usually we can only do it when they're indoors, but we are working on getting outdoor cameras. So
stay tuned for that.
That could be coming soon.
Well, that wraps up everything that's been happening in Tiger Athletics. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you again next time. Again, I'm Cameron Boyd.
And I'm Kate Perrin.
And this has been Put Her In, Coach.